A couple of things before I begin. Sorry this took so long. Throughout the last few months since the last review, I got married, moved to a different city, got a new computer, started working, had some family in the hospital, so that was a pain. But I'm okay, and my family's doing well. But with that out of the way, let's begin.
Yakuza
So a while
1
ago, I made a
and
video
Kiwami,
about the original
and the PC
Yakuza
part
and
of
its
Kiwami.
remake, Yakuza
Before I begin,
Kiwami.
I would like to thank
I was
Scarlett,
still
who
new to
bought
this review
Kiwami
thing,
and
and honestly,
Kiwami 2
it's
for
kind of
me,
cringy.
and gave me the
I kinda
forced
wanna delete
motivation
it,
to
but
do
I
this
won't
video. Thank you.
yet. It was rushed, and I got burned out because I played through the entirety of Yakuza 1 and Kiwami back-to-back. And
Yakuza,
70%
also known as
of that
Like a
original
Dragon in
Yakuza
Japan,
footage,
not to be
and about
confused with the name of
60%
the upcoming
Kiwami
release of the
footage
series
got
at this
messed
time
up
of this
in the
recording,
aka
which I find
it had
strange
no
because
sound.
it's the 7th mainline game,
So I'm planning
but
to do a
since it's
proper
so different from the main
retrospective of
series
series in the
gameplay-wise,
future,
they changed
and
it
that would
because they
mean
don't want to
looking
ruin the
back at
Yakuza
1
name and
Kiwami
treat it
again.
as a spin-off,
So there's that.
which is a shame, honestly.
In the meantime,
but I digress.
let's move on to its sequel to
Released
Sega's
originally in
serious crime drama,
2005,
Yakuza 2, and its remake, Yakuza 2. I'll be looking at the original American 2008 PS2 release and its HD version. And mostly this will be focusing on the 2017 remake of the game, Yakuza Kiwami 2. This time focusing on the PC version, and the PC version was gifted me by Scarlett, who at the time paid $14.99. Originally released for the PS2 back in Japan in 2006, taking place 1 year after the events of the original Yakuza, Yakuza 2 is a direct continuation of the first game, right down to the battle mechanics and overworld style. So jumping from Yakuza 1 to 2 is pretty straightforward, but now the real difference is in the setting. With now Kamurocho in Tokyo, there is Sotenbori in Osaka, which is based off of Dotonbori, just like how Kamurocho is based off Kabukicho. Now, unlike Yakuza 1, there is no dub. It's all dubbed in Japanese with English subs. The English dub won't return to Yakuza until Yakuza Like a Dragon. But they kept the translations name from Yakuza 1, which makes me wonder what dub would have been since it takes place in Osaka, where they speak in a different dialect. Kinda how in anime dubs when they just take a southern or some Boston accent and just add it there. They keep some of the changes from Yakuza 1 until Yakuza 3 if I recall. It staged about as well as the first one, so pretty okay for a PS2. This was also ported both to the PS3 and Wii U like I mentioned in my Yakuza Kiwami video. It's just the PS2 version, just added native 720p, and in the Wii U with the ability to play with a Wii U tablet. Other than that, it's still the same. Anyway, moving to the main topic, Yakuza Kiwami 2. Released in 2017 in Japan and a year after in America for the PS4, this is the first Yakuza game I bought brand new. It was released another year later on Steam, and yet another year later on Xbox. The console versions run at 30 FPS with different resolutions depending on the console. It's backwards compatible on PS5 and on the Xbox Series consoles. And in PC, well, you have a lot of options. It was also on Game Pass on PC and Xbox, but while the making of this video, it has been removed. Now, this is a complete remake of the game with the core of Yakuza 2, meaning the story and locations with a few minor exceptions, now all lovely rendered in the Dragon engine, which was first used in Yakuza 6 and Song of Life. Does the game look good. Shops are now built into the city where the previous games you would have to close the door and then you would have to go through a load. Now they're seamless. This means when you get in a fight, you can actually go to the store and wreck shit up. And maybe the clerks help you commit a murder or two. Fighting this game can be a bit wacky with the game physics, especially where there's a group. But most of the time it's fun and feels well. This time you level up with a mixture of 5 types of EXP. Strength, agility, spirit, technique, and charm. You also get EXP from eating certain restaurants, which is possibly the fastest way to get XP. Combat is your standard heal ups, attacks and special moves, tilt, bar, and then you do a heat action. Use items to boost up your stats and break the game, so pretty standard. Now throughout the story there are side quests, where once completed, the people you help in the side quest will help you do a heat action. Exclusive to Kiwami 2. During combat, it can be really silly with disattention and can lead to problems. Speaking of that, since I'm using the PC, half of the footage was taken using the vanilla install of the game. Then on the second half, I'm using the stealth patch. Pretty much a must-have if you're playing it on a PC. It increases the performance, and it's easy to install. Just drag the files into the main folder, and the games run great with it. Albeit with one minor issue I've had with the karaoke, where the monitor booth is a bit off. Not to the point where it affected the game, but just the background object was a bit iffy. Other than that, it was fun. Yakuza Kiwami 2 has a variety of minigames, from golf to karaoke to Challenge pissing. To my personal favorite, Cyber Troopers Virtual On. I used to play it a lot back in the arcade when I lived in LA, so this game just gave me some nostalgia. This is by technicality only released in the arcade version released in America. I say technicality because this version in Kiwami 2 was released by itself in Japan. Oh, I'm saying that this Virtual On is watching the West. Anyway, I digress. Now the story through its 16 chapters, I'm going to be a bit vague to tell the complete story of the first Yakuza, so I'll be as detailed as I can be, but also not as again. Taking place about a year after the events of Yakuza 1, Kiryu adopted Haruka and are visiting the resting place of some of the people they lost in the last game. While the new head of the Tojo clan that was appointed at the end of the game comes to talk to Kiyo about the Tojo clan almost collapse and how the Omi Alliance is about to start a war with the Tojo clan. Kiyo gets murdered right in front of Kiryu and Haruka. Don't worry, she's going to get a lot more trauma throughout the series. And now Kiryu is tasked to get to Daigo Dojima, the son of the man who was murdered at the beginning of Yakuza 1, and get him to lead the Tojo clan to calm the Omi Alliance, the Goryu clan. So Kiryu beats the sense of Daigo and they go to Sotenbori in Osaka. Meanwhile, Kiryu ends up at a cabaret club and ends up being an Omi Alliance member. It's the Pants Thief himself, Ryuji Goda. Why Pants Thief? Well, play Yakuza 0. He is known as the Dragon of Kansai. They have a quick chat and make remark how Kamurocho will be singing fireworks. And then he leaves. Outside, Kiryu notices people scrambling towards a big screen at the other side of the streets. The Millennium Tower exploding. Now if you finish Yakuza 0 and Yakuza 1, you'll know that that area is completely cursed. Meanwhile, at another part of Osaka, Detective Korayo Sayama is shown. Alright, look, I'm gonna spoil it now since I won't get into it later, but she's gonna be the love interest and gets completely shafted in the rest of the series. What happens to her? Well, let's just say she pulls a Borat at the beginning of the next game. The next day, Kiryu and Dajima go to the main building of the Omi Alliance. They are greeted and are able to meet with the head of the Omi Alliance, Jin Goda. And also the cast of pretty obvious villains, one of them being the sworn brother of the previous Tojo captain. They talk about how the incident was an independent act of the Goryu clan. Jin explains how Kiryu is able to rebuild the Tojo clan, and Kiryu gives Jin a letter from the former chairman saying how they wanted to form an alliance. Suddenly, they get surrounded and Ryuji appears, and Daigo steps up and gets quickly taken down. Ryuji is here for Kiryu, and instead of going to take him one-on-one, he takes on Fox. Once the area is cleared out, Ryuji challenges Kiryu, and then Daigo fights him and fights Ryuji. Kiryu goes through a gauntlet trying to save Jin Goda. He ends up outside of the building, thankfully Jin's outside. Daigo walks out and collapses, and Ryuji comes out, and we have a one-on-one with Ryuji Goda. Later, he gets taken down, and the police are and arrest Kiryu. And Sayama takes him into custody. Meanwhile, back in Tokyo, Date is back, and we get some explanation of what happened after Yakuza 1, and is now involved in the investigation of the Omi Alliance due to foreign affairs. Why, you may ask? Because he knows Kazuki from Club Stardust, since he's apparently working with Ryuji. Meanwhile, while Sayama is driving, a sniper shoots her in the shoulder. While struggling, she tells Kiryu to find a bar called Aoi. He runs off and finds a place. He asks the bartender if he knows Sayama and tells her she's injured. She tells him to bring her back to the bar. Kiryu runs back and carries her back to the bar, trying to avoid way too many people. Once back at the bar, he leaves Sayama there. Meanwhile, Kiryu is able to go off on the town for a bit. Much later, he gets back to the bar, and a waitress, Tamiya Sayama, tells her how she knows Kaoru, pretty much being her adopted daughter. Kaoru wakes up and pulls out the bullet she had, and says that this isn't Ryuji style. So now Kiryu must find an info dealer at a shogi bar. Before he can enter, he must find a certain shogi piece. Fast forward to when he gets it, and once inside, Kiryu talks to a man in a padded vest, who informs him that the Takashima family of the Omi Alliance, aka the family from the guy who was the sworn brother of the guy that was shot at the beginning of the game. Meanwhile, the captain of that is talking to the detective from the Sotenbori police, seeing how he knows what's going on. Back in the Mahjong parlor, Kiryu is about to leave. Then the old informant tries to kill Kiryu since he found out Kiryu is from the Tojo clan, and he had a bounty on his head. Who took the hit? Well, it was the Sengoku family, aka this asshole. Anyway, Kiryu heads back to the bar, and he gets stopped by a familiar face. If you played Yakuza 0, It's
あ
Yuki.
なたのようなすご申し
She's
遅れ
now
ま
the
した
head of this cabaret
私
club,
この店
Club
本
for
社員のオーナーの
Shine.
ユ
And she
キと申し
confuses
ます
Kiryu thinking that
こ
he's
ち
a
らは
manager.
うちのなん
He isn't, but since he's a nice guy, he helps them out in this
今回
mini.
だけだぞ
I won't go too deep into this, other than you can spend hours and hours playing this game,
盛り上がりまし
pretty
た
much being a full game on itself. And it can be a massive time sink.
引き
After
抜き
this
の
minigame, another cabaret club manager from a rival club comes in and tells about the cabaret Grand Prix. The hostess asks Kiryu to be their manager, and he agrees. He also says a line that pretty much sums up every sub-story in the series.
もしかしてとんでもねえもんを引き受けちまったのか
Heading
あん
back
た
to
は
the
そうやって
bar,
無茶すんの
he hears
まだ
Kawaru
身
and
辺保護すれ
Tamiyo
ば
talking
同
about
情
how
感
Kawaru
に
is
近
pretty
づ
much
ける
using Kiryu to get to the Tojo clan.
So-
Kiryu enters the bar, and Koryu gets a phone call. It's Basho from the police
狭山
department
です
and wants to
う
talk
ち
to
の課長から
Kiryu, and he informs him that Daigo and Jin have been taken and insists he should head back to Kamurocho. Kiryu and Kawaru arrive at Kamurocho, and she collapses
どうしたんだ
since she was running a
大丈夫よ
fever. So Kiryu takes her to Serena, the old bar from Yakuza 1. After dropping her off, Kiryu gets a call from Kashiwagi and informs
Hey.
him on the situation of Daigo and Jin. And Kiryu heads back to the Tojo AQ. But before he can get a cab, Kiryu gets a call from an anonymous person telling him to meet at a building.
組
At
織
the
と合
Tojo
流会
HQ,
が
they have a meeting
裏
about
で
what
つながっ
happened
てい
and
る
what Ryuji is trying to
間
do.
違いない
相手に
They
気
are
づかれない
informed
よう
that
に
the building
桐
Kiryu is
生の
about to
警護
go
をしてやっ
is
て
under
く
the
れ
Nishikiyama family.
お断りします
And this guy, Koji Shindo, the current patriarch of the Nishikiyama family, is still sour about what Kiryu did at the events of
どういうことだ？
Yakuza 1. And Koji leaves. After the meeting, Yaoi meets with Kiryu on the first floor and she informs him about a hidden room. After puzzling around the building, he finds a place and inside the room is a dagger. He takes it to both Kashiwagi and Yayoi and informs them that he knows a person who can help. And Kashiwagi informs him where
Hey.
that person might be. Kiryu is about to leave to the Tojo clan when suddenly there's a small commotion in the front where a crazy assassin takes out useless Tojo guards. Kiryu takes him out and after that heads back to Kamurocho. And Sayama calls him, feeling better, and she asks for some underwear and some beer.
調べるために
Back in Serena, he reunites
俺
with
に近づ
Sayama.
いたと言っ
He
て
pretty
たな
much tells her he knows that she's using Kiryu to get to the Tojo clan.
お前は
And you
両
have her
親を
backstory
登場
that
界
the
に
Tojo
殺さ
clan
れたと
apparently
思
killed
っ
their
ているのか
parents. After that one-on-one, they head to Purgatory. And right outside Purgatory, they meet with Tamura from the last game. They go through the bathroom and get to Purgatory, which is no longer a homeless camp. It is now a construction site. And we see a
ボ
familiar
ス
face.
は地下の一番奥でお待ちしています
They go through Purgatory and we meet with the boss.
この
the
町に
fan
帰
favorite
ってくると
Goro
思っ
Majima.
た
Majima informs them that he took over the forest since he's now helping with the police. And he's in
カムロ
charge
町
of
比
the
率の
construction
建設
project
事業を
called
請け負っ
Kamurocho
た
Hills.
登場
Kiryu
界
asks Majima to come back to the Tojo clan,
お
which he
断り
refuses.
や
Kiryu
真島の
agrees,
偽
and
なら
Majima
一
agrees
つ条
under
件
one
がある
condition.
わ
And Kiryu enters
ト
the
ーナメ
tournament
ントや
and
すぐに終わ
Kiryu
る
agrees. So he enters the tournament and fights his opponent, and he wins. His second opponent is our boy, Gary Buster Holmes, who has the best line of the game.
器具ですね桐生さん総空氏と安楽氏お好みは
相変わらず日本語分かってねえな
Once he goes down, we have our final opponent, the one, the only
現地下闘技場チャンピオンマジマゴロ半年前このリングに突如現れた島野の強肩は今もなお負けるということを知りません度肝を抜く入場パフォーマンス圧倒的な強さ彼を倒すことができるのは果たして桐生なのでしょうか今リングインです
Man, do I love this fight. After this fight, Kiryu wins with a hard punch to the gut. They head back to the office where Majima says he'll back to the Tojo clan, but in reality, Kiryu just wants him to help the Tojo clan. Majima tells Kiryu about the
奴は
doubts of the
周りで言うほど
old condition, and then
なんだ
alarms sound.
この
It's an
警報
intruder.
は
東京
Apparently,
ヒルズ
people
計
want to take the
画を
plans for Kamurocho
奪い
Hills.
取ろうと
They head outside where people are waiting, and now for Majima to help
手
Kiryu,
貸す
he's
約
gonna
束
need
してくれた
Kiryu's
じゃねえか
help. How?
現場
By
監
becoming a foreman. And what does that mean? Well, it's a real-time strategy minigame. A minigame ripped straight out of
守りき
Yakuza
れ
6. Yep, it's an RTS that I didn't care for much in Yakuza 6, and I still don't care for it much in 1 2. It has a crap ton of DLC, so it might be fantastic. It's just not for me. One StarCraft session later, the
不動産って
CEO
会
of
社の
Muto
代表だ
Reality appears, Keiji Muto, who's
こう
pretty much
譲
here
って
to
ほしい
try
ってお願
to
いし
take
て
out
るんだけ
Majima
ど
construction by
な
force.
かなか OK
Too bad he doesn't
カ
know
ムロ
who
町
he's
ヒル
dealing
ズは
with.
ないわ
They talk about the
Ora,
Three
schizza
Musketeers.
vegano.
Who are they? These guys.
Oh.
They're the main antagonists for the Majima
お前
construction
らが
RTS
俺たちを
minigame.
さ
Now, after this chapter ends, you have the Majima Saga unlocked. And now I'm going to pretty much stop talking about the main story here and move on to the Majima Saga, which I also don't want to go too deep into, but enough talk about the basics of this special story. You can now play the Majima Saga anytime after Chapter 5. It has 3 chapters, with the second one unlocking after Chapter 8, and the third and final chapter being unlocked after Chapter 11. In this story, as you can tell, it revolves around Goro Majima, and the events before it starts the construction camp. You can't gain any XP, but you can fuel the food. He still has a hunger meter, so you still have to deal with that. The main benefit of playing this story is that you can send gifts to Kiyo once you reach a certain amount of money, and it can be deposited at any ATM, and it'll give gifts to Kiyo in the main story. So, the story is that there's a rumble in the Tojo clan. Right there, due to the new chairman forming the Tojo clan, and Majima is bringing the goods. And some of the patriarchs don't like it, and they don't like Majima's attitude. After all that, he returns to Kamurocho, where hired goons are after him, and he needs to figure out who is doing that. And that's pretty much the basic of this short story. I would like to talk about it more, but it spoils stuff that happens in Yakuza 0. And I don't want to do that because I haven't covered that game yet. But I will say this story does bring closure to an event that happened in Yakuza 0, and that's all I want to talk about, the story for both Majima and the main story. It's a great story, and it's even better by the final quarter, so I would highly recommend playing it just for that, or you can watch it play for I don't know. And overall, Yakuza Kiwami 2 compared to Yakuza Kiwami 1 is a better game, but they're both great games. Kiwami 2 is great on pretty much anything. So either way, the game is complete and beefy. The best part, it goes on sale constantly, like every other Yakuza game. So pick it up when it's on sale. I highly recommend it. Anyway, that's for Yakuza 0 for now. Again, in the future, I'm planning to do a retrospective, maybe with friends. Who knows? Only time will tell. Anyway, I've been Fonzie. You can follow me on Twitter at Fonzie's Revenge. I'm going to start streaming again. I've been off because of moving, and I'm going to be moving again soon, so we'll see about that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you for the next video. Hopefully it's done better than this one. This one is also kind of rushed, mostly because I wanted to get a video out, and I've been working on this video since November. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it, but it is. So, yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.